This is the second video for section 7.2, and we're going to continue on calculating payroll deductions. And in this case, we're going to be calculating the FIT, right? The federal income tax withholding using the percentage method. Okay. So this employee, Pat Brown, is single and claims 2 allowances. We are going to calculate how much the allowance is going to be. Right, so it's monthly. Oh, that's another important part of this. I've kind of, parceled these out for you, so you already see what's going to happen there. And it's going to be $666.60 that we're going to subtract from the $4,700, and then that is $4,033.40. And that amount is the taxable wages for the FIT, right? We only do this for figuring federal income tax, okay? Now, that's the number we have to take over here to our chart. And I've already picked the right one, right? Single, monthly, and I've given you the 1/8 portion of that chart that you need for monthly pay period for a single person, okay? So let's find the amount on here. $4,033.40 is going to fit on the third line, if you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to go right below the chart. It's going to be $429.75 plus 25% of the excess over $33.13. So we take the pay, right, the taxable wages, and we subtract $33.13, and that's what we'll be taking 25% of that number. So it's the excess over $3,313. So we just keep this number until we get finished with the calculations over here. So it's going to be 0.25 in decimal form. When we subtract, we have $720.40. That was messy. And then we multiply that by 25% or 0.25. So now we have $429.75 plus 180.10. That was that calculation right there, right? 0.25 times 720.40. Add those together and we get $609.85. So I'm going to put that on the chart. $609.85 goes for federal withholding. Now that's a pretty big amount of gross pay, so that's why it's $609.85. All right, so we're finished with that. Let's move on to the next example. Okay, so now I've got that example showing. So we're going to read through this. Rhonda found her first job after graduating from college. She was delighted when the offer came through at $18.50 per hour. She completed her W-4 stating that she is married with a child and claims an allowance of 3. All right, so we've got to know some of this information. She's married and she claims an allowance of 3. We'll just do that part. Her company will pay her bi-weekly for 80 hours. Calculate her take-home pay for her first check. So that means she doesn't have any year-to-date yet, right? She hasn't earned anything. We're going to find gross pay, Social Security, Medicare, FIT, and net pay, right? Or the FIT, I guess I should say. Net pay is going to be then her take-home once we take out Social Security, Medicare, and federal withholding. But first, we have to calculate how much money she's going to make for gross pay. So that's going to be 80 hours, right? So every 2 weeks, bi-weekly, that's just every other week. And it's $18.50 per hour. So her gross pay will be $1,480 for every 2 weeks. And so because she doesn't have any year to date yet. We don't have to worry about that part. She's going to pay Social Security on this full amount. And remember, that is 0.062. I have the charts on the next slide so you can see the percentages, right? And so then we're going to multiply that, and it's 91.76 for Medicare. I don't know how to abbreviate that one. We're still going to take the 1480 and multiply that times 0.0145 and 2146. Okay, so now we're going to work through the federal withholding. And in this case, remember, she's married with 3 allowances. So on the next slide, if we go here on biweekly, right, we see that it is this one, and she has 3 of those. So we get to take that from her gross pay before we go to the chart. Okay, so it was $153.80 for the biweekly category times 3. And then we subtract that from 1480. And we get 1,018.60, right? Don't have a very good decimal point there. Well, it shows up okay. Okay, so then when we go to the chart, we're going to go to the biweekly married side. So let's go over here. Biweekly married, $1,018 is going to be here. If I can underline that. Let me keep that. I'm going to do hers in pink because we're going to have another one that we're going to do. Oh, whoops, no, I'm on the wrong one. On the very first line, because it was 1,018. It starts 1,040 on the next one. So notice it says 0 plus 10% over 331. So she doesn't have to pay she only has to pay a percentage, right? So 0 plus 10% of the amount that's over $331. Okay, so then we will calculate that, right? 10%, let me write that in decimal form. 0.1 times 687.60. So her federal withholding is going to be 68.76. Okay, so the total withholdings, let's say total withheld, is going to be Social Security, Medicare, and the federal. So the total withheld is going to be $181.98. And so then we're going to subtract that from her gross pay, which was $1,480, $181.98. So her net pay will be $1,298.02. Double check my numbers here. And this, we did all this work to find this number, right? Net pay. That's what that is right there. Right? Net. Okay. Now we're going to use these charts on the last example here also. So we're going to have this one. We have several things to calculate on this. All right. So Anthony earns $2,700 every 2 weeks. So semi-monthly. Now, semi-monthly is twice a month. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. So, you know, sometimes there'll be a time when you might have 3 paychecks in 1 month. His year to date is $118,250. And then he gets $125 withheld for insurance. We're going to figure state income tax at 6%. And then we're going to calculate net pay. Okay, so I hope I can get this finished in this video. So we're going to subtract first of all to do the Social Security and see that he has to pay Social Security on just $250. So that's times 0.062. And so Social Security is going to be, let me put that, $15.50. And then Medicare is on his full gross pay, right? So we're going to take the $27.50 times 0.0145. And that will be $39.88. So SIT, right, state income tax, is at 6%, which that's 6% of gross pay. And we get $165 for that. And now let's go to FIT. FIT. Okay, so there is, I don't think one allowance. I kind of missed that. There's one allowance, and it's semi-monthly. So we go back to this chart and we see that semi-monthly is going to be, that's semi-annual. How about semi-monthly? We're going to get an allowance of $166.70. So we take $27.50 minus $166.70. There was just one allowance, so we don't have to do anything but that. And then we will take that to the chart for single and semi-monthly, right? So single and semi-monthly is here, and the amount is $25.83, which is this line right here. Whoops, I need to do that a different color. Okay, so that's what we'll calculate on. So it's $214.80 plus 25% of the excess over $16.56. So we subtract, and then we calculate that times 25%. So $214.80 plus $231.83. So FIT will be $446.63. Now I'm getting close on time, so I'm going to pause this and put the other calculations, so then you'll see them out here in a minute. Okay, so I wrote out the stuff that took a little bit of time. Notice all the withholdings. So we had insurance of $125, then all of these that I had calculated over here, right, added together to get a total withholdings of $792.01. Subtract that from gross pay to get the net pay of $1,957.99. And that is the end of this lesson. Bye, everyone.